This episode of Wake Up Jab is sponsored in part by Balance Patch, Rami, Wallaby Twilio's Street Fighter V character drawings, and of course, FGC time.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Wake Up Jab Podcast, Episode 3. I am Burkish.
This is Draken.
And we have special guest, Marvel God and Corgi enthusiast, Ramsel Gonzalez. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up going on, guys?
Hey, what's up going on?
How long did you rehearse that for it to go just completely wrong?
You said Corgi, and that really tripped me up. I was like, what's a Corgi?
Dude, that's why I follow you on Twitter. It's not for the Marvel tech. It's for the Corgis.
Yeah, like if you watch any of Rambam's Marvel tech videos, they always feature some Corgi, and it's really cool. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. All right, we're good?
We're good, okay. So we have a fun show because we're going to talk a lot about Marvel because we have Ramsel here. Also, we set up the Sarahah. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Sarahah.
Name of Sarah. Like, it just feels awkward every time I say it. I hate that name. But you guys sent us questions. We got 9 questions. We're not going to go through all of them right now. We'll go through, I think, 4 today, and we'll go through more next week. And the link for that is burkishman.sarahah.com. We'll leave that in like the post description. But basically, we're just going to jump right into it. And we have like 2 really big questions, 2 kind of trolley questions. You know, you want to just do the trolley questions real quick?
I'll do 1 trolley question, 1 big question, 1 big question, and then 1 trolley question.
Oh, we'll end it good. Okay.
Yeah. So let's start with Drake and Catch These Hands. Now,
okay. This is anonymous.
So I may catch these hands. I'm not quite sure. I can guess who this is. But like, is this in Street Fighter V, or is it some other game, or is it like in the parking lot? Like, I would love to catch these hands. Just drop me another Sarahah message, and I'll get back to you. And that's it for that one.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think people knew. Not everybody knew that it was anonymous.
I think it tells you it's anonymous like twice.
But some people are just dumb. You know, maybe they're Balrog players and they just can't like process things in their brain. I don't know.
I understand.
Okay. But we have some real good questions, like this one, which is overall, what do you believe is keeping New England behind other strong regions like SoCal and NYC? I definitely feel like we have the potential for our guys to start winning tournaments, but what's the last piece of the puzzle? Oh, and then he says, also, what are your thoughts going into Season 3 in Arcade Edition? Sorry about the 2-parter. That's from Wallaby. So he knew that it was anonymous, and he signed his name. So
nice guy.
Thank you, Wallaby. Yes, nice guy, Wallaby. So I figured we'd go all around the horn, and we could each give our own opinion. Figured, Ramsel, since you're our guest, we could start with you, and you could say it from maybe like a Marvel perspective. What do you think is holding New England back compared to other regions?
Or are we even held back in Marvel? Like, I don't know if we've
even held
traveled.
Back?
Well, I mean, there are a few things that definitely hold us back, but we can't really forget that we definitely are strong in the sense that some of our top players have been beating other players from other scenes on the regular. So like Zaf, for a good portion of time during his like Street Fighter 4 prime, he was like whipping people's ass kind of regularly. And in Street Fighter 5, he was doing pretty well. Myself, has beaten pretty much of New York, save for like the top players, mainly like Ray. I've never beaten in tournament, but I've beaten like Crazy Joe, Flux, Winrich, Noel Brown, Scambi, and Random Fiend. I've all beaten them in tournament. And Hambam, like there's a bunch of people here, like, so like we're strong, and I don't want to say that we're not strong, but I think overall there are some lower level players that could definitely use the push. And I think just traveling more, people get really nervous when they're out of their state. And so they don't travel enough, and then if they can get over those nerves, they'll feel more comfortable.
And you probably think traveling is important for every game too. It's not just like Marvel, for example. Like we don't have very many people travel in any game at all. Like probably our number 1 person who travels is probably like Alex Smith. right? But otherwise, like,
Yeah.
who does it?
Malcolm Strickland.
Oh yeah, Malcolm does travel a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Does he play Marvel?
Yeah. He's playing Marvel right now.
How's he do?
I've never played him. I haven't played him yet.
Okay.
I just know that he's streaming.
So that-
So
he's
maybe
so
that's
he's
a
not
good
getting to
indication
top
of
4.
yeah, he's not getting top 2. We know that.
But yeah, no, like for me, like to get to where I'm at now, I've been to like, you know, at least like 10 different majors and like had varying results, but like I traveled enough to like not feel so nervous. But also traveling with your scene is super important too. If you're by yourself, you feel extra scared. But when you have your crew behind you, it's way less pressure.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things
Definitely.
that we've done before with Dan is travel to NLBC, and a huge fan. So Burkish went on one of those trips before. That was quite a few months ago. And I know that Steve Uptosnuff is trying to organize another thing to NLBC, and I think that would help a lot in terms of getting to a better skill level for New England, because I do think number one thing is traveling, and
Mhm.
traveling to the best, scenes would probably be the best way to get better. Because our best players, other than like Nick, who doesn't travel, so Burkish, who doesn't travel, who's here right now, are people who travel. So Up to Snuff travel. He went to Evo. He's been to other tournaments. Staff travels a lot.
In my defense,
you know.
I tried to go to Evo.
Yeah, no, you tried, but Spirit 2-0'd you. 2-0'd everybody.
Yeah, 2-0'd me. I didn't make it out of pools.
Unfortunately, didn't 2-0 Up to Snuff, because I mean he got top
Yeah.
64. But otherwise, like, we suck, and that's okay. Like, we just need to travel, and then the players who travel just need to come out. Like Zaf is coming out to Balance Patch every week on Fridays, which is awesome. So people get
Yeah.
more experience there. I know Pumper Jam recently went out to a tournament. I forget which one.
I went to Canada
He went to
Cup with
Canada.
Zaf.
Yeah, with Zaf,
Yeah.
right, which is awesome. And of course, he's bringing
And
that
what's his
experience
name
back.
was there? Joel?
Jaren?
Jaren, not Joel.
Yeah, we talked. Yeah, we talked about that last week. Jaren went out for
Yeah,
a
we
Street
did.
Fighter 4, which is pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we need to make sure to bring back to our venue. So, like at Balance Patch, it's just great having it there.
Yeah.
I definitely have similar opinions. I mean, I definitely think like I don't want to get it twisted because me and Draken will say a lot like, "Oh, New England sucks," but we mean that in like compared to the world.
Yeah.
We don't mean like we don't mean that compared to your average city.
Right.
Like, if you go to Idaho, we'll whoop anybody there. You know what I mean? Like, so, like as a region, we're technically extremely strong if you're comparing it to any region. But we're basically comparing ourselves to like the highest denominator, which is pretty much where we should be, because that's like where we're the closest to getting. Because a lot of us have done extremely well, but we've never been able to, like win a major. So that's why like we say we suck, just because we haven't been able to get that one big barrier. But overall, we're actually extremely strong. So we basically just need to keep improving, and that seems like what we're doing.
Yeah.
Is what I think.
One final point, which is related to traveling, is time commitments and like being okay with giving up time to like this like hobby, because it does take time to get there, and like traveling takes time, practicing takes time, and a lot of us get caught up in the real life mix up, and it's sometimes hard to balance that. So finding a healthy balance of like your play, but also keeping up with your real life commitments is really important.
Definitely, yeah. No, traveling is hard. Like that's why everybody wants to get sponsored, just so they can not worry about the travel and just keep playing.
Yeah.
But I think that pretty much covers that question. Thanks, Wallaby. We didn't talk about Season 3 in Arcade Edition. Well, maybe we'll talk about that at a different time.
Yeah. Talking about commitments, there's another question. The other one was about long-term coaching and training routines, which, I mean,
Yeah.
I won't be able to talk to too much other than I play the game, find stuff that's cool, and then I learn frame data. Like, honestly, I don't play too much at home. And if I do, it's almost all training mode. And then, for the most part, I go out to events and then I just play there. I don't have a good training regimen.
So maybe this is a question more for me and Ramsel.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess I'll go first. So I figured I'll talk more about Street Fighter and Ram can talk more about Marvel. But so basically, like the way I read this question is like long term, how do you keep improving? So for Street Fighter, I'm talking specifically about Street Fighter 5 right now, because like there are obvious answers to this, like you have to get better neutral, which there's no like I can't teach someone how to play neutral. That's something you just kind of get. It's like you just get, as you get older, you learn how to walk, you learn how to run. Like it's something you'll just get over time if you keep playing. But for Street Fighter V, what I will say is that most of the training is very theoretical and not in the game itself. For example, like I know there's guys like Filipino Champ who will get second at a major and doesn't practice the game a single time, which kind of just shows like how theoretical of a game it is. You don't really have to play to be good at it.
That's my
but
training
what I will
regimen.
say, yeah, that's that Draken just sits back, eats Cheetos, yeah. But I will say for Street Fighter V in particular, there are certain things you have to try to be working towards. So one thing is you have to learn how to get the most out of every situation. So like if you get a counter hit jab, like say they're gonna press a button and you can counter hit jab to beat it, you have to be able to every single time go counter hit jab into a medium punch into some sort of corner carry combo. Because if you just get a jab and you don't do anything after it, you're essentially not punishing them. It's the same thing where it's like, oh, I could get this like simple jab anti-air, or I have this button that crush counters them in the DP, and you build V trigger and you get way more damage. So stuff like that, like optimizing every single situation is super important in this game, and is just overall like just gonna get you wins easier. Like if you automatically in your brain have the optimal way to do something, then you'll just have an instant response and get a ton of damage. So the other part of it is definitely, like I said, like since this game is so theoretical, it's definitely like the strategy of it, because like this game is kind of viewed as random, so you have to take everything that's solid and like cling onto it. So like for example, like knowing what your character's goal is and knowing what your opponent's character goal is. So for example, if I'm playing against Guile, his goal is clearly to throw fireballs. So you have to think, what are my options to beat fireballs? But another way to think about that also is, if you are Guile, does that mean you have to throw fireballs? No, it's just you have options, but that doesn't mean you're forced to use options. You just have to use what's ever going to get you the win. And that's basically it for Street Fighter V in particular. And again, there's like other things, like you have to have good anti-airs, you have to have good neutral game. They can't really teach you that. That's something you kind of just get over time, and it applies to every single fighting game. But that's basically what I would say. Like, watch a lot of match videos, think about the game constantly, think about optimal ways to beat a certain strategy. Like, oh, maybe I stand here, instead of just saying, oh, well, that's safe if I stand here. Like, okay, maybe you have to think more about where you're standing. Do I really have to press a lot of buttons in this matchup, or can I just do nothing and that'll still work? So don't be afraid to think of like out of the box strategies. Just whatever works. It doesn't really matter. And yeah, that's basically all I have for Street Fighter V.
I also don't think
Ramsel.
like matchup experience is as important in this game as it is in a lot of other fighting games, like Street Fighter 4.
It's definitely not.
It's like, honestly, in this game, I feel like, just like Nick said, kind of just do it. So if you have a good crush counter button, it doesn't matter what the matchup is. Just kind of like abuse it,
And even if they whiff punish it 3 times, that doesn't mean you have to stop doing it. I'm not even kidding. Like,
I know you're not.
like whatever's gonna get you the win. If that 4th crush counter hits, and whoa, what is happening in Mike World right now? Is that you?
That was Draken.
Okay, damn it, Draken. I'm having a lot of mic issues today.
Oh my God.
What the hell are you doing?
Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Are you like making out with your mic? Okay.
Exactly. I'm good now. It's because it's a headphones mic, so it like
Oh,
beats
okay.
against my chest, if you know what I mean.
I got you. You're making me lose my train of thought. Okay, so yeah, basically like I was saying, like don't be afraid to commit to a strategy. That like just because you're taking damage doesn't mean your strategy is a bad strategy. Like I said, if you go for a crush counter 3 times and get whiff punished every time, doesn't mean you shouldn't go for it a 4th time, because if you hit them once, you get the reward. So just always think about it in the perspective of a game that you're trying to win, and it doesn't matter. You have to essentially just take all the emotion out of it. Like, yeah, I might lose 75% of my life, but as long as I win, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's all I have to say for Street Fighter V. Thanks for the question. That was a really good question.
Yeah, for Marvel, what do you recommend, Rambam?
Yeah, Marvel is an interesting game because there are like a ton of options, like more so than Street Fighter, and it kind of feels a little overwhelming. So sometimes it's very hard to think like, what am I doing wrong? Marvel, like I was saying, Marvel is a very overwhelming game at times. There are a lot of options that a person can go for, and then like when you lose, you're like, I don't know what I really lost to, because there was just a ton of stuff happening. But there are a lot of like habits that you can sort of like break that make it easier to sort of digest, to slow the game down in your brain. I think once you can slow the game down in your brain, you start to really understand like what are these options, because they're actually a lot more straightforward than you think. So I use training mode a lot, and I do play online a little bit just to test things out. But I'm in the training, like I'm in the lab like 90% of the time that I'm playing the game. And for me, like combos are cool, and setups are cool, but the combos and mix-up really take up maybe like 20 to 25% of like my actual time in the lab. Other options I need to be aware of that like I feel like I can spend my time better understanding that. And so the lab, I use it to practice my spacing against specific moves. If I know like Nultron is like spamming jump heavy punch, how can I better stand in a position, or dash away to avoid it rather than eating it or like taking the hit. There are specific, block strings or things that you get hit out of. I just set the dummy to like do it, and then I just find myself get hit by it, and I ask myself, can I punish this block string? Can I space myself better to avoid it, or how can I better block it? And then once I figure that out, I practice it 10 times, a couple more times. Like it really is part of my muscle memory, because that by doing that bunch of that like wild scenario, like I've now officially trained my brain to recognize that situation. Get hit by it, I don't feel like I'm being overwhelmed. I just know that I got hit by like this specific thing that I should have known I should have gotten hit by. So I really try to understand that. And Marvel game, so you want to be aware of that stuff. And with it being unforgiving, you got to make sure you give your opponent the least amount of times to play. So I practice like my set play, which everyone likes to like sort of troll, like set play this, set play that. But all games are set play at the end of the day. Like you get the knockdown, and then you want to make sure that they don't get up, get the next hit, because there's no reason to like let your opponent play. So I make sure that I know if I get this hit and I have the specific amount of meter, what do I do next? Like when do I cut my combo short to get a better reset? When do I avoid them counter switching? So I practice all these specific setups so that I know I get the most out of my hits, because I don't want to give my opponent more times to play, because then if they're playing, then I'm more likely to get set played, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm making sure I'm real cutthroat about me getting a hit and what happens next. If I just burn my bar into super, I feel like I wasted an opportunity. So I practice, what do I do after I get a hit? And what is it, my anti-air confirm? What's my grounded confirm? What's my super jump confirm? And then, what happens after that, and how do I end it? And then I practice to make sure that that person is dead by the end of that, or else I might get hit with like a wake up DP, and then against my favor. But that's definitely like when I'm at home. I'm never in the play to win mode. I'm in like the play to learn mode. So I just like watch things out. I'm never like trying to like go super ham in casuals, because that's not really worth it. Like I'm not in a tournament, so why force myself to win when I can just like test things out? I use casuals as a place to like break habits, or break bad habits, I should say, and then just kind of like learn. And so I'm never like over and over again. I'm always like testing my spacing, looking for different things, and just like trying stuff out and not going for the same stuff over and over again. Because I mean that is fun sometimes, but like if I'm really trying to get the most out of casuals, I'm not really trying to win, because there's nothing. So I commit to less things when I'm like playing casual. I'm just watching, and then once I like get hit by a bunch of stuff and maybe I'll lose, I take it to training mode, and that's it. And then I repeat the process that I said earlier.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, the cool thing about that is like there's so many people that watch Marvel and then they just it looks all random, but you don't know that like the cogs are spinning in both players' minds, that they both know what they're both trying to do, but even though they know the counters to it, it doesn't mean you can beat it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, even though like an average player just gets hit by a 7, he's like, oh, I just got hit. But then, there's a good player, he's like, I know he's going to do this, but he could do this variation. I'm going to try to space myself. And it's like you put in so much work to make it so they have the least amount of opportunities to put you in that bad situation. But I feel like from an outside perspective, sometimes it just kind of looks like, oh, fast, flashy, random game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Spacing is really important in this game because like it's okay to block in Street Fighter sometimes. Like like people sometimes say just block it out. Like if you're playing a Bison or like a Balrog, they're just like just block. You're not gonna get counter hit if you just block. In Marvel, you don't want to block. You want to avoid. Like you want to be like avoiding stuff. If you're blocking, you're losing, and that's a fact of like no matter what Marvel game you're playing, whether it's 2, 3, or Infinite, or like, if you're blocking, you're losing. So you need to learn how to avoid and whiff punish, but in a different way, not like with punishing limbs, but with punishing back movement or with specials or stuff like that. Because you don't want to be blocking, you want to be avoiding all the time.
For sure. And I think another good point you said was how like I think you said only what 20% was combos.
Yeah, maybe sometimes even less.
Yeah, like combos in training mode, like no matter what the game is, mean like so little. Like it would honestly be better just to learn like a basic combo and then just play like you know what I mean for hours and hours. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Because like you'll get yourself in like the combo loop where you just like want to keep practicing combos and it's just not beneficial for anybody.
Yeah, it's honestly a waste of time unless you're like optimizing a combo. Sure, like you got this new like combo that is getting you max damage so that you can then perfect your set play. Great, but if you're just practicing the same combo over and over again, you're wasting your time, honestly.
Yeah, because like the truly best way to practice is to play, and so like you'll find the best combo. Like someone on Twitter will post the best combo, and you can just X copy. But like you can't. It's hard to practice spacing. Like you have to just play, and you'll get used to it.
Yeah, I mean you can definitely understand the ranges of normals in training mode.
For sure.
Like you know how far a hitbox hits, and then you can just like, okay, if I stand at this range when they jump, I know that if they try dash, they're gonna completely whiff. So that stuff I've definitely like messed around in training mode.
For sure. Draken, do you have any other notes?
Not really. I think we'd probably.
Are you eating?
I am eating. Why do you think I paused my my microphone or muted it? So
good point.
Yo, my boyfriend made a calzone. I'm gonna eat that calzone. I told you.
You're right.
Podcast don't. It doesn't matter if we're podcasting. Draken's gonna eat that.
It's
calzone.
gonna get cold. I don't want.
Is this podcast sponsored by?
By Totino's.
By Totino's.
Maybe Totino's.
Awesome.
Yo, what if Balance Patch had calzones?
Oh my god.
I like their sandwiches. But if they had calzones.
So okay. So that was really interesting. There was like a lot of things because like I've never really trained in Marvel, so like I don't really know. Okay, like how much of it is like are you just practicing mix-ups all the time? But it's like no, it really is like the same as like any fighting game. You're just practicing spacing and like learning matchups and stuff.
Well, yeah, I played Marvel Infinite for a solid week and a half, non-stop training mode, and it was all set play. That's all that's literally
that's all you ever care about.
Well, in Marvel, in its current iteration, pre-patch, where we may know what the patches are, that set play is.
Isn't there a rumored patch?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There's a rumor coming out, rolling around.
Is there any like notable changes?
Big changes, if they're real.
A big change is that you can push block certain projectiles again, so that if you get caught in projectile, you.
Reality stuff.
Womp womp.
Okay. So moving on. I figured one thing, like I said, since we have Ramsel here, we'd talk just like a little bit. We already did a little bit.
Wait, we had
just like in general about.
We had one more question.
What? Oh my god.
We had the troll question.
Yeah. So.
All right. What's the one more question?
Question is, why is my Ken so nice? And
the answer is Kevin Tech, you suck. Moving on. All right, so we're gonna talk about the New England Marvel scene because we have Ramsel here, and also specifically, I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but there was a certain incident at the most recent GU Monthly. I don't think I need to say anything further. That I don't really know the story behind, but I just saw the clip.
I don't really want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it?
Not really.
That's fine.
Part of me kind of regrets doing it.
Okay.
Because I'm not that kind of person, but
it's too late.
It happened.
You are that kind of
person
late. Now.
I'm kind of.
You have to pop off after every win.
After every single win.
Yeah, Yeah, then I'll feel bad when I pop off against like this guy's first time at a Marvel tournament. I'm like, I'm sorry.
No, it's
there's
worth
some
it.
like 12-year-old girl. He beats her and he's like, "You'll never be the champ."
Oh my god.
I mean, you'll say it's not a pop off. It's just facts, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
You're right.
it's just facts.
He has to scream it too, though, every single time.
You need to walk away, then pop off. Don't even pop
Yeah.
off right there. Just like leave, then pop off
Like what, in the parking lot? Is that what
in
you're
the
saying?
parking lot.
Yeah, back at home.
All right. Well, all right. We won't talk about that. But
Wait,
so
call
what
into the
what I did
venue
want
and pop off on the phone.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Well, okay. We need to get back on track here.
Yeah.
So what I did want to talk about is like, mainly like when I'm a bounce patch, I'm kind of like always playing Street Fighter in tournaments. So I never really see what's going on in the Marvel section. So I don't know like what's like the general Marvel Marvel feel. Is it very casual fun or is it extremely serious? Like, who are the best players? Just the basic stuff for guys like me that like is an idiot and only knows basically just that you win every week.
So I don't know. Okay, so the New England Marvel scene. I don't know a whole lot about it. I mean, I'm only really familiar with who's playing in Boston.
Did you say you don't know a whole lot about it?
No, I mean like in terms of who's playing.
Oh, okay.
Where they
wait. I was like,
stand.
aren't you the head of the scene?
Oh, like all of New England is what you mean.
Yeah, because New England is not just Boston,
okay.
Massachusetts.
That's true. It's true.
But I'm only familiar with who's playing in like the Boston GU tournaments. So of those people, I know like definitely the top players are Ham Bam, Evasion, Goes by Tango, and Derek Bunn. They like to pretend like they don't know how to play the game and they suck, but they're pretty solid and they just need to like be confident in it because it's infuriating when they like to like sandbag or like, no, I don't want to play because I'm whack, but they're pretty good. Because they used to beat the crap out of me all the time, like in Marvel 3. So they definitely have the juice. But I think like a lot of the other like slightly lower level players are still like getting their training wheels and not really sure what to do. Oh, I forgot Cravat. Cravat is dope. Dan Camilli, he's pretty solid at this game, and so is Tipsy Rubin. He's pretty solid at this game. Players are still like got their training wheels on and trying to like really develop a feel for the game and what they like. And so I'm doing my best to sort of just explain things here and there to really get them to, well, I think they like the game and they're like having fun with it, but they just like don't understand it yet.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have like a pretty awesome like Twitter/YouTube thing going on. Do you got like anything you want to talk about that, or like why you do it, or is it more just for fun, or is it for information, or
It's a mix of things. I do it because I do want to help out my local scene, so I do it to like help people out here. Whether or not they take full advantage of that is up to them, but I do just make it available. I think also there are also a lot of players who get frustrated, like when it's like new, whether they are local or not, who get really mad at like these tactics, and then it usually turns them off from the game. And they're like, this is scrubby or this is random, and like take some time to like understand it a little bit. It's really easy to understand. And so if people can see that like with like basic lab work, you can really just like break stuff down for people who don't naturally feel it out. So, or like have naturally strong reactions out there so people can see that, like, there are these answers. You just have to like work on it. And then they're less likely to like ditch the game because they feel like they're being scrubbed out or overwhelmed by pressure. And so I just constantly put out this like information, these punishes, this tech, mechanic breakdowns, just so that they're like, oh, I can learn this game faster, so I can like jump into it more and then like feel less overwhelmed by like reality stone spam or like whatever they're getting like frustrated by.
Yeah, the thing I like about your videos too is they're like to the point. Like you don't put a lot of fluff, like oh, let's put a picture of a corgi, like halfway through.
Yeah. No, I try to be really thorough, and I write the text in a way that literally a brand new person can understand.
Right.
Because I mean, I'm sort of targeting people who don't know what they're doing, and also people who know what they're doing. So it hits both targets, so that a new player can be like, I get what this is talking about. I don't really know how to execute it, but I get it. And so they can think about it for a while, and then they can go back to it when they have a better handle on the game and then start to implement it.
Yeah, and like honestly, like it's not like super easy to do. Like I know like we're like you're not using super insane editing techniques, but like I used to make a couple of videos and like it definitely takes time out of your day. Like you're definitely like putting in an effort to do it. It's not like something like, oh, I'm good at Marvel, so I can just instantly make a video. Like no, you have to actually put in an effort to put it out. Like you have to really want to do it.
Yeah, no, it definitely depending on and I actually still struggle with just like rushing it out. I wish I took a little bit more time putting some of the videos together because I do sometimes rush it and I feel bad when like I don't get to get my want it to be, but it definitely takes time and then I get impatient and just like throw stuff out.
It's not like just quickly tweeting tech, Those YouTube videos.
Dude, you still have calzone in your mouth? I feel like I can hear calzone.
No, I don't have calzone at all. I wish I had more calzone in my mouth.
You already ate it? That wasn't that long.
Well, there's more.
Oh, okay, save that one for me then.
I'm holding off.
Bring it for me to bring it to Balance Patch tomorrow. I'll eat it.
0% chance. Make it so Balance Patch serves calzones. But yeah, those videos are actually really good. They're edited well. I never felt like any of them were rushed because I watched quite a few of them. So I'm surprised you had that own criticism of yourself. But
I mean, it's easier to criticize yourself.
Yeah, I've received the criticism as well, which I agree with.
But overall, good stuff. And you even got a shout out. I think Yipes shouted you out like a couple days ago, right?
I was like flushed with emotion. I was like, oh my god, Yipes tweeted me out. I got like 120 new Twitter followers from that shout out. I jumped from like 830 followers on Twitter, and I was like, yo, this is tight.
Oh, and what's your YouTube account?
My YouTube account is Rambam with 2 R's, RRAMBAM. And then my Twitter is the same thing, but with just a 1 at the end, RRAMBAM1.
Got it. Cool.
Awesome. Yeah. So good stuff. So now I figured we could talk about not calzones, but we talk about some strategy talk. And we figured since we have the Mr. Marvel here, he would give us, some strategy talk about Marvel. And in this section, we usually like to focus on something really specific. So like, if you're wondering why do we do like how do you anti or how do you play neutral? Like I feel like the goal of this section is to pick something very specific that like what it is in a basic way, but you might not know how top players are using it in like a more behind the scenes subtle way that you might not even notice like while you're watching it even. So Ramsel, I think didn't you say you want to talk about like push block and block strings today?
Oh, I definitely do because I
definitely do. He sounds excited about this.
No,
Oh yeah.
This because this is like what I'm really like thinking about. Marvel is going like the direction this game should be going. There's like the way the game was designed is kind of built around these block strings and push block. So it's exciting to think about it, and that's like what I've been thinking about a lot as I play the game. So I just go right into it, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
So push blocking and block strings, I feel like are a huge thing once you sort of really break down the game. And currently, what people feel like is happening is like, they do some YOLO move to make you block, they tag in, and then they do some crazy mix up, and if it doesn't work, they just rinse and repeat until you get like hit. And part of that is like definitely somewhat true. Like you can definitely like force a situation, put you in block string, and then tag in for like a mix up. Like, yeah, that on paper sounds ridiculous, but honestly, it's no different than Marvel 3 putting you in block stun from like an assist and then mixing you up for like however long. Like, you block hidden missiles, you messed up because you're gonna get hit. So learning how to deal with certain block strings is really important in this game because the game was designed with a bunch of stuff being really negative unless you make it safe with a tag. So for instance, like Ultron's like Death Ray like special beam, not the super but the regular special, that's like -12. And like Jetta's stand heavy punches -33. So like when you take that information and you're like, wow, that's really negative, you can like dash up and punish some of that stuff.
Quick frame data question. Should we think of frame data like Tekken or like Street Fighter? So like what does -33 mean?
That means you recover like sort of Street Fighter. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like most moves are like in the low single digits in terms of startup. So like minus 33 is crazy.
Startups.
Like crazy minus.
Yeah, exactly. Because startups like range between 4 frames is the fastest jab, and then like things get as like slow as like 13 to 20 frames. So minus 33 gives you plenty of time to punish.
Got it.
What is the slowest move in the game, curiously?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, Dante has some slow buttons. Like he has a 9-frame jab, which is pretty slow.
Damn.
Everybody
But
else.
doesn't that have a ton of range? Is that his crouching jab?
No, stand jab is like all right. It's actually the hitbox is kind of broken. It's not as good as an anti-air as it looks like, which kind of blows. But yeah, Dante has a 9-frame jab, which is slower than like Thanos's jab, which you think Thanos big body slow jab.
So you want Dante to have actually everything, is what you're
No,
saying.
not at all. I think his frame data is fine. I think the hitboxes are kind of silly. Like no, and like, except for light punch, everything else is really broken.
Yeah.
Really broken. But
Right.
so when you think about that, everything is negative unless you make it safe with the tag. So if you block something, the way I think about the game is if say for instance Ultron dashes in at you and he makes you block, crouch light kick, crouch heavy kick, tags in, and then or Thanos, whatever, and then they try to keep the pressure going and they'll do like some block string or into like a quick mix up, right? So you have to realize that at that point when they've tagged in, their tag is on cooldown, so they've lost their ability to tag again, and it's also on cooldown for a couple seconds. So like unless they really extend their pressure, they have no opportunity to tag again unless they burn bar or keep mauling you, which is inherently unsafe. So if, say for instance, they tag in Jeddah does a quick overhead, you block it because you got good blocks. You need good blocks in this game if you want to survive.
You assume so much, Ramsel.
You have to. Yeah, you're right.
I'm already dead. When, like,
Yeah,
end the sentence right here. Strategy talk over.
Yeah.
Go on.
But you block the Jeddah overhead, and then like the Jeddah player by nature is like, crap. Okay, you blocked my overhead. So what do I do now? They're like, okay, I do stand like jump light punch into crouch light punch, crouch heavy punch, and then they're like, okay, let me cancel into a special because that normally makes things safe, right? You think like Rio does a block string into Hadouken, they're like, cool, I'm safe, or whatever, or like relatively safe. But in this game, that stuff isn't safe. So like you've extended too far. So if they ended their block string with stand heavy punch, 33. If they canceled into the pinwheel, there's a huge gap between stand heavy punch and the pinwheel that you can dash up, avoid the pinwheel, and punish Jeddah. So, and they can't tag to make that safe because they just spent their tag previously to bring in Jeddah. So now right there, they've gotten their one mix-up that you've blocked, but now they need to either stop mauling or back away. And right there, Jeddah tried to overextend their block string to make it safe. Well, at least they think they're making it safe by throwing out a pinwheel. But if you don't push block anything, you make that string really negative, and then you have a clear punish. And that's like seems kind of like straightforward. Like if someone does like something really unsafe, or like you know that they're gonna keep overextending, trying to go for like these like really negative, deep like counter like heavy punches that are really negative. Like if they keep overextending, there's eventually gonna be a punish moment, and the thing sort of applies, but they now can't make themselves safe with a tag. So if you can trust your defense and just block and understand the block string, you can punish stuff that you normally think is like, and push block builds into that a little bit because the natural reaction for a lot of people is when they're getting mauled, they just want to like mash push block because push block pushes the opponent away and that makes you feel safe on the inside. You're like, cool, they're getting away from me, they're getting away from me. But what you're actually doing by push blocking certain things is that you're letting them get away with murder. Where, say for instance, if that same Jeddah block string, if I had push blocked the button before they canceled the pinwheel, I put myself into more block stun, which then made that pinwheel safe.
Right.
Think about where do you want to actually push block to avoid, to make sure that you're being safe, but you're also not letting them get away with like really unsafe stuff.
So
So
that's super interesting. So like, is there like a sort of like a mind game that goes on with both opponents? So like, the only example I thought of in my head after you said that was like in Street Fighter, like you have a frame trap, like button into another button, it's a type frame trap, but they could try to extend it maybe by going for like button walk up button type of thing. And so like, so both players are thinking about what the like opponent they maybe did last time, or is it like most of the time they like don't push block, most of the time in certain situations, most of the time they do push block, or is there like a mind game? You know what I mean?
depends on the player. Currently, the meta right now, they're not. A lot of people aren't thinking about that. So, like, I'm currently like labbing out like all these block strings like crazy, and just like finding out every single gap. Like everything Thanos does. Sorry, everything Thanos does is like really unsafe. So like, no matter if like he doesn't like when you tag in Thanos and he doesn't like mix you up right away, literally anything he tries to follow up with is going to be a punch. If he tries to go for the raw overhead, you can grab it. You can like step up a heavy punch. You can block and punish. There's so many things that are bad with it. But for instance, say for Jetta, if you thought he was going to go into the pinwheel and you try to dash up and jab it after the stand heavy punch, instead of doing pinwheel, they can cancel into the scythe move, and the scythe move comes out way faster. So the scythe would smack you dashing in, and it happened to me the other day where I was playing this Jetta player, and he did pinwheel once, and I punished it, and then he did the same block string, and I tried to dash up after I saw the heavy punch because I knew he would cancel into something, but he actually canceled into the scythe and smacked me, and I was like, ooh, okay, he knows what he's doing. I can't just always like dash up punish afterwards because he knows what he's going to do. And so then I start thinking, how do I punish that, canceling the scythe? And then I learned that you have to push block the previous move that you normally wouldn't push block to make scythe whiff, and then you dash up and whiff punish the scythe. And so then it creates a mind game where you have to like realize what option are they going for and then find the appropriate counter all the time. And it's fun. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's what the cool thing I'm noticing is like I feel like a lot of times the difference between a really good Marvel player and like an average Marvel player isn't even like super noticeable. Like just being familiar with that situation, like the average Marvel player is like, "Ooh, I'm gonna maybe spam push block because I'm in the corner." But like the really good corner player says, "I know exactly what setup you're going for, and I think you're gonna maybe cancel in the faster side, so I'm not gonna push block in this situation." It's just like even though the goal, like you said, is to avoid the situations, like being familiar with them is gonna increase your overall odds at winning.
Exactly. And so yeah, realistically you want to avoid things and like maybe like just get like some like specials out on the screen, like some like, Gamora guns and make them block or something. But if you are forced to block, just trust your defense. And I think that's one thing that people don't want to do is like trust the defense. And they just will mash push block or they'll just be like, all right, I got hit. But there's a lot of defense is rewarded a lot in this game. I personally feel. I mean, some people might not feel that way. They feel like offense is more rewarding. I mean, offense is always rewarding because you get the hit, but if you can wait stuff out, there's some huge rewards for it. Like and I can go down the list. Like I'm working through like most of the cast and just like finding like gaps in block strings. Like Gamora's guns. Like people get freaked out by the arc shot spam, but if you actually specifically for her you push block it, and then you leave your stick at neutral. You after you push block and put your stick at neutral, you actually avoid the proximity guard that sometimes eats your inputs, and then you can pretty much hit a button like a few frames after you push block, so you pretty much cancel out the block stun like entirely, and then you can jab Gamora as she does her arc shot follow up. So she can't do arc shot anymore, or else she's gonna get punished. And so I have to know that option and be ready to punish that all the time.
That's pretty sick. Can the Gamora do anything if they know you're gonna do that, or is she stuck?
She can, depending on the spacing, she can switch to the heavy version rather than light version that like goes straight down versus the one that goes horizontal. She can try to do that, but depending on the spacing, nothing happens except she doesn't get punished. But you're not at an inherent risk. The only risk is like if you mess up your timing and then you get like counter hit. But at the right spacing, like you're gonna punish that thing for free all the time. Like even Dante can punish it with his slow like 9-frame jab. So like there's a huge gap there that people aren't exploiting. And so while push blocking certain grounded strings like normals, not push blocking certain normals can be very beneficial. Push blocking certain specials can be really beneficial because you can actually cancel block string out and open up opponents who think they have all this block stun to like mix you up, but you can actually cancel out your block stun by putting your stick at neutral. And then you can like, because normally so in general push block gives you 20 frames of additional block stun. push block and put your stick at neutral, depending, I mean, I'm still like working on the testing of it. If you push block, right, as a regular push block against a projectile, you can hit buttons 10 frames after push blocking if you put your stick at neutral. Or if it's a perfect push block, you can hit buttons 5 frames afterwards. So depending on, you know, the situation, you can like just quickly jab someone out of something that they think they have all these plus frames from this like projectile, like they tagged in, but you can like quickly stuff that by properly push blocking and jabbing them, because they're like, oh, I thought I had like, you know, these extra 20 frames of like, you know, block stun or whatever, but you actually canceled it out and then you smack them. And it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. You know, like I feel like I actually just like learned a lot. Now I feel like every time I watch a Marvel match, I'm gonna like pay attention to when people are push blocking.
Yeah, and so yeah, and you know, unfortunately, it's like I'm still not perfect at it yet, so I'm like still working on it. This is like,
of course, it takes time.
I'm learning it, but definitely the block string stuff. Like if you watch me play, like I'm definitely like fishing for these bad block strings and punishing them, and that's like 90%, like not 90, that's like 60% of my game plan is letting people open themselves up and finding out where the gaps are. Yeah, and that's really what it is, like exposing people for bad offense, because it shows that this game isn't as offense driven as some people think, and you can punish bad offense really easily if you just trust your defense for a little bit and don't habitually mash push block. There are proper times to do it, but you can't just like panic push block all the time.
For sure. Draken, are you here?
Yeah, I've been here.
Yeah?
I'm wondering if you think the patch notes that was posted on New England Marvel is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like offense would actually become like too weak, depending on how long it takes for the block stun to become decreased as blocking time increases, if that makes sense?
I wonder.
I guess we would have to see.
I don't think it's going to ever be too rewarding, because this game will, like, you're gonna get hits like depending on how you properly set stuff up, like you can get hits like really quickly in this game.
Yeah.
So I don't ever think there's gonna be a point where this game is not offensive enough. A lot of options, and you can literally set up tags off of anything and do a quick short hop mix up or a quick fake high into low. Like you're always gonna be opening people up, and you know, auto block isn't gonna protect you from everything.
Right.
It just can't. Like if people are smart enough, they'll open you up no matter what.
That sounds like Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say like once once you're in a block string or like mix up, you have like the expectation, I feel like, is that you're gonna get opened up.
Yeah.
So like
and
sometimes like people will see that and be like, oh, this is cheap. I'll be like, well, no, you have to avoid the situation. It's the same with Street Fighter. Like, oh, Laura cornered me and I died. It's like, well, why did you get cornered in the first place? You know what I mean? Like you always have to think about avoiding the situation before wondering why the situation is cheap.
Oh yeah, exactly. And yeah, Marvel is no exception. And you have to really trust your defense more so in this game than Marvel 3. You can definitely like push block a lot more in Marvel 3. You kind of have to trust your defense a lot to like find these gaps and not let people get away with stuff. Because if you do, then you're like, it'll force people to like slow down and be like, oh, I can't do this all the time. Let me rethink about it. And the beautiful thing is, in this game, if you take option that they have away from them, like what are they left with? And they're left with playing neutral. And if they can't play neutral, and I play hella neutral, I'm always like spacing, I'm always zoning.
I play hella neutral.
And so it's Space Stone.
Yeah, Space Stone, yeah.
Yeah, Space
Quote,
Stone.
I play hella neutral. Okay.
Yeah, no, and so like if I take away their you know, their aggro, like, you know, YOLO option from them, then they have nothing else to like rely on. And so at that point, I know I'm gonna win because I have solid neutral. So I'm gonna like outplay you, I'm gonna outthink you, I'm gonna outspace you. And that's extra satisfying because I blew up what little like YOLO thing they had, and then I flip it on them and like, you know, zone them out, and they're like, I can't deal with this. I'm like, I thought you thought this was an offense game. Guess what, bitch?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite feelings in fighting games is knowing what they're gonna do before they do it.
Oh yeah.
Just because you've been in that situation so many times, and like they think they're getting, like they think they know what they're doing, and you're just showing them that they have no idea what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fun feeling.
Super great.
You should literally tell them what they're about to do in the middle.
Oh,
of the
that's
match.
Draken's strategy.
Oh, I know. I've been on the other side of Draken.
Like,
It's fun.
because you also Draken will do the thing where he'll like do the Alex Smith where he'll fake a wake up uppercut then wake up jab.
Yeah,
Which is just like why.
Because you get the pressure. The pressure.
Yeah, but the thing is, I stopped falling for it. I feel like at this point, I'm just gonna always try to meet you, but then I'm gonna mess up my meaty and then you still jab me.
Yeah.
Why don't you do fake wake up uppercut into grab? That's the next level.
I have done that. I've done that into command grab with like
Yeah, my
Nikali
favorite
or
scrub tactic
Mika.
of all time in Street Fighter is wake up forward dash. I think it's the most funny thing ever because like what does
It's
it
really
accomplish?
funny.
Like nothing. But they're just
I
like I'm
know,
a
it doesn't.
genius. I woke up DP 8 times, so this time I wake up dash. Like I figured the game out.
It's a really deep frame
Rambam,
trap.
is there an equivalent to wake up jab in Marvel? Infinite?
Yeah.
Or is it just DP? Like 0, DP, tag?
Yeah. Yeah, like wake up like invincible super or wake up like invincible DP or something. I mean there are
Okay.
punishes, like there's punish to DP or whatever. Sometimes can be a little daunting to like attempt. But you can definitely punish that stuff. So like don't think that like that's completely unbeatable. You can definitely outspace DPs and so like in the same way, like you don't want to block a DP, you want to make it whiff. And the same thing for like all the other options in there.
Oh. Huh.
You don't want
no crush counters in Marvel.
You just want to make it whiff and then punish whatever follow-up they try to do. Because if they DP and they try to tag, if you make it whiff, you can grab the tag and punish it, and then like they just lost their wake up option.
So I'm assuming there's a lot of cross-up setups that makes like the DP autocorrect and whiff or stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, DP is down for a lot of people, so
I see.
it autocorrects regardless.
Oh god.
it's really scrubby.
DP is down. What year is it?
So you don't have to actually guess what side you're gonna get. You just do it.
That's so great.
But yeah,
I love
it. So exactly. So you just make it whiff, and that's how you punish DPs. And I say punish everything in this game. Either you make it whiff, or you just block it out and trust your defense.
Yeah, see, that's another important thing that people might not realize is like making something whiff to punish it as opposed. It's just like back to the optimization thing. Like you could block it, but then he'll tag, and you'll wonder like, well, I guess I'm right. Like what did I do wrong? It's like no, you have to think further than that and go into like the proper punish.
Exactly. Like
but yeah, actually, while you're here, I have one more question for you, and then we can probably wrap up. We've been talking for a while. So I don't really know, like, I haven't played Marvel much, but whenever I'm on the defensive, I try to play reactionary defense because in Street Fighter, it's very easy to play reactionary defense. How much of the defense in the game would you say is reactionary, and how much of it would you say is just like, it's too fast to guess, so I'm just going to kind of pick?
When you say reactionary, are you saying like you're reacting to like high lows and stuff?
Yeah, or at least you're attempting to react to. You know what I mean? Like I thought I saw him go high, so I'm gonna quickly try to block high, as opposed to just like I'm gonna guess. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's reactionary.
Like 24/7.
Like 80% of the time it's reactionary for me. There's definitely like some reads if like they're gonna do like a fake high into low. You should definitely like probably read that like I know they're gonna like try to like fake me out, so I'm just gonna hold down back even though they jumped. And then there's like other parts will do like they'll do like a empty jump into grab, like that's if you have to like be ready for it, and like just like know that that's the type of player that they are. But I'm definitely reacting to high lows, and most Marvel players are reacting to high lows.
You can react to high lows in Marvel, but you can't react to them in Street Fighter. I've heard that a lot. I'm not talking about you, Rambam, but just in general.
I know it's real. I can't react to Street Fighter. But honestly, but the difference is that though in Marvel is that there are pre-jump frames, there's the startup of your dash, and then there's the actual like light kick. So there's like at least like 10 to 15 or so frames that you're looking at versus like a 9-frame overhead or whatever in Street Fighter. I mean, I don't know how fast.
Well, that's the weird thing. Street Fighter overheads are like 20 plus frames.
Oh my God. Not reactable.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's why it's weird.
What was it? I remember back in Street Fighter 4, didn't Jason Berry said that Chun-Li's Sazanju was unreactable?
What?
Do you remember Chun-Li's Sazanju, the overhead?
No, I know. That doesn't
make any sense. I'm pretty sure he said it was unreactable.
Well,
cracks me up.
Street Fighter 4 reactions, you totally could.
Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure anybody could react to them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Just
Oh, man.
React DP. Like,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
DP, that's yeah.
That's beautiful. React forward dash.
Oh god.
React focus
Yeah.
forward dash full punish was the legit thing.
Yeah. Do you guys got anything else to say? I think that was that was pretty long. What was that, like an hour?
It's fun. It's a little wild, but it's very fun.
Yeah,
It's
that's what's
different.
most important. Is that it's
It's
just fun.
different than 3, but it's fun. It's just a little like it's definitely like unfortunate that Capcom didn't give it the proper love it deserved.
Oh, for sure. Does that take away your experience while playing it, or have you just played so much that it doesn't matter?
I mean, yeah, I've gotten over it to some extent, but I know that there could have been so much more and so much time put into it that would have made it a lot better. But the core elements of it are like fun. They're fun enough. They're fun.
Yeah, like
for me.
no, like if the new Dragon Ball game looked like Marvel, I would have zero interest in it. Like the reason it looks so interesting is because like you do a super and it's like the coolest thing of all time.
Hey, this is a Marvel episode, not a,
Oh yeah,
not
yeah.
a
Sorry,
Dragon Ball Z episode.
this anime. But
All right, cool.
I think that's pretty much it. Thank you, Ram, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And we will be back next week. Remember to submit your questions. I'll put the link on the Facebook post, or I think probably Draken again.
Yeah. And any that we haven't gone over.
Yeah, we're gonna go over all.
We'll make sure to go over.
Even
Yeah,
the stupid ones from stupid people that don't leave their name when they know it's anonymous.
Somebody wrote again, Drake can catch these hands.
While we were
just by
recording
the
this,
way.
is that what you're saying?
While we were
Ramsel?
recording.
Definitely was.
Good.
Wait.
Well, I
hold
will.
on, before we stop, Ram, were you the first one?
No, actually, I don't even know. I have not submitted anything.
Oh, you have not submitted. Oh, okay.
Oh wait, no.
No,
I didn't submit any of that.
I didn't either. So I think Drake, and this is some like five-dimensional chess you're playing, where you like submitted against yourself. Yeah.
Oh my! Have you seen? Let's see. It's like you can't trust anybody, not even yourself. And it's like a picture of somebody about to shoot himself.
Yeah, I love that one. They did it though with the Quackbot one.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Dude, I love the Quackbot. I just love I love how he had to make that face, like just he like knew he was gonna be a meme or something.
I know, it's perfect. No, Quackbot in general is a pretty nice guy. Like I've met him in person. He's a chill dude. He's just dumb. He's just dumb for that. I don't know what happened.
But do you find it funny, or were you mad about it?
I wasn't like mad. I was just like disappointed. I was like, really, dude?
I don't know how many people would be mad.
I don't know. There was a ton. I'm just basing it off Twitter because a lot of people on Twitter were pissed, and I was like,
Twitter people are always mad.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, when you're not like personally involved.
Yeah, it's true.
But I was just like I just kind of like shook my head. I was like, really, dude? Like, you thought that was a good idea? Like, really, that's like completely like frowned upon to like play twice in the bracket.
Yeah. At least it wasn't like Evo or something. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
It was still a major.
It was.
It was.
So stupid. Funny though.
It was. But yeah, again, thanks guys for watching. We'll be back next week. Bye.
See ya.